At the bench, Maiden Voyage, Uncle Greg Platzer. Welcome.
Well,
Welcome.
it's nice to be here.
It is the Maiden Voyage. It is the
This
spawn. It is our first. I say first attempt. That really sells it right. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing today?
Well,
Like as we're doing this, the upper part of the screen keeps lighting up with customers reaching out to me. So you're going to hear beeps and this and that's and whatever, because everybody wants their guitar done yesterday for less than, what I charge.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I am at the bench with tools, working on things. And since we don't really have a script, I will pretty much rely on you for guidance as to.
All right, so we have tools. You're working on stuff. What is the thing that you're working on?
Well, this is a nice piece of black Korina.
All righty.
I can't say the artist yet.
Yes.
But this artist, everybody loves these guys, and I'm doing a guitar and a bass for them. And in July, they'll be playing reasonably nearby, and I'll bring the instruments and they'll take them out on stage. And God willing, they use them more than one song.
Yes.
But from what I understand, they're looking forward to getting them. And okay, Korina, Limba.
All right. Tell us about Korina.
Okay. Well, guitars, electric solid body guitars are made out of tonewoods. Certain woods really vibrate well and make for good sounding guitars before you even plug them in. The most popular with Gibson uses a lot of mahogany with maple on top. But in the 50s, they tried something different. They tried this wood called Limba, which has the trade name Korina. And they made the Flying V's and the Explorers out of those. They made 81 Flying V's and 19 Explorers. And they were essentially, Fender was telling everybody that Gibson was a stodgy old company. And Fender was making the very sexy Stratocaster and the Telecaster and had come out with the precision bass. And so Gibson decided that they were going to just blow everybody away. So they did 3 futuristic guitars, the Flying V, the Explorer, and the Modern, which they never made any Moderns because it's ugly. And they used this wood called Limba, which was also referred to as limed mahogany in some circles. A lot of home stereo was made out of it in the 50s and stuff like that. And the problem is it's an African wood. It's very hard to find it in its lightest stage. In fact, you know what? It just so happens. I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm running across the room and grabbing some Limba.
We're at the bench with Uncle Greg Platzer. He's grabbing wood.
I'm grabbing wood. Nice. Nice. There's coffee, Don. This is an Explorer body.
Yes, it is.
And this is white Limba. This is about as pure a Limba as you can get. And you can see it kind of has a little bit.
We're talking what, like 1958, 59 when they did those guitars?
Yes. Yep. And so that's white Limba. And black Limba is essentially the wood is so almost transparent that when it grows near water, the tree will pull minerals up into the wood, and that wood will become deposited, and you'll see it. And here's something I cut from last night from some more black Limba, and you can see, if you look at the end grain, you can see all the deposits in there. And then, so we're basically looking up the tree right now from here, looking up towards the top of the tree from the root. And now when we go like this, we're basically looking at the side of the tree, and you can see these would be rings. And some of the rings, of course, had some pretty nasty, dirty shit in there. And to me, that makes it even more wonderful. The
Yes.
back is actually
Makes
a
more beautiful.
little cleaner, but the front looks really killer. And then when we hit it with a little moisture, it makes it really strong. And that's the way it's going to look with clear on it.
Okay.
So it's kind of
So
funny how
you're keeping these guitars clean so you can see the wood grain?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to
Cover them.
spend what you have to spend to get this stuff and then cover it with green metallic paint.
Yeah.
You know. But the other thing about Korina is it's an excellent tone wood. Fender guitars are usually made out of ash or alder. And Gibson, and they're very, very bright. There's a bunch of other factors involved, but there's a snappiness to the Fenders that Gibsons don't have. The Gibsons tend to be out of mahogany, sometimes with a maple cap. And Korina, if you took a guitar that was made out of mahogany, substituted it for Korina, what you would do is you would get a lot more high end, a lot more ping, and it's very pleasing. And it tends to be lighter. Now, black Korina is a little heavier because it's full of minerals.
Yeah.
This body probably weighs a good bit more than that Explorer body I just showed you, but I'm not going to give a damn when I'm playing it on stage because it's going to be killer.
Yeah. Right.
So that's a little wood 101. So then when we look at this piece of black Korina, does it look familiar? Yes, it does, because we were just looking at another piece of it. And the whole idea with this one is because this band tends to, I'd say $10,000, 10,000 audience members is a small audience. I want these to be very, very striking. So when they walk out on stage, everybody's going to go, oh,
right.
And, that's the whole deal. I want them to be excellent musical instruments that happen to be exciting to look at.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
So that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, it's a very long-winded
I hear you do not use CNC machines.
I am not a fan of CNC. CNC is great if you're a manufacturer. But if you're
way to do it at this point.
Yeah, but it takes I have very good friends that use CNC with their stuff, and they'll have like standard models. If I had through Greg Platzer guitars, if I had the Rod Goelz signature model and I wanted them to be as consistent as possible, then CNC makes all kinds of sense, because then I would be manufacturing a known commodity.
Yeah.
What I do is I build custom guitars, and like I have over here,
custom personalities.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a Fender Stratocaster, buy a Fender Stratocaster. If you want a Gibson Les Paul, buy a Gibson Les Paul. This is a guitar I built for myself, and you might notice the wood is Korina, and it's essentially it's inspired by a Fender Esquire, which would be a single pickup Telecaster. The body contours are a little bit different. The neck is highly figured flame maple, and the guitar
you carved it all out.
Yeah,
every
guitar say again.
Every piece of that is your handiwork.
Yeah, I've done a little work to this.
Yeah.
I actually, the neck was rough cut in the shape, and then I did all the shape and stuff like that. But the cool thing is the nerds will notice that it's a reverse headstock, which I favor, because then the high E string is the shortest string on the headstock, and what that does is when you're bending strings, it's more like a Gibson. And the low E string is the longest, so that's puts that string at a higher tension, so it makes a much snappier, bouncier sounding guitar. And
perhaps a silly question here.
They're all silly questions.
Okay, you have your pickup looks backwards. Does that how does that affect the tone?
Not much gets past you, Rod. Not much. You remember there was a fella played a little guitar by the name of Jimi Hendrix. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
And he was left-handed, played right-handed guitars. And the interesting thing is he would use the bridge position on a Strat, which nobody else uses, and it sounded good. Well, one of the reasons that sounded good was the pickup was canted the opposite way.
Okay.
So the treble side of the pickup was farther away from the saddle, And what that did was the string vibrates. The closer you get to the saddle, the less it vibrates and the brighter the sound. So what this does by using what is essentially a left-handed bridge,
Mm-hmm.
now I've got the treble side hearing a mellower part of the string. I got the bass side hearing a brighter part of the string. And what this does is basically makes it to my ears. All right, I got to turn that off. Please leave me alone, people. Okay. What it does is it gives you, to my ears, a much warmer, much richer sound. At some point, I'm going to add a P90 to the neck of this. I'm just going to have to. I'm going to have to. But for now, this will be as it may. And
that's cool.
So yeah, and I don't like Telecasters. My girlfriend Sarah Sheriff has a whole bunch of them. She favors them. She plays country with the Grant Bryan band and with Jillian Smith, and she loves them. And I always ridicule her because I call them boat paddles and pizza spatulas and stuff like that. But I needed something kind of like that, and I do little things like I angle the mounting point there so your hand can get up in there a little better, and a rounded contour instead of that big scoop. And this is, to me, it's much more comfortable.
It kind of looks like you've done some stratty things to the contour.
Yeah. Well, the idea is it should be comfortable to play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, these are musical instruments, and you don't want a paintbrush that's hard to hold. You don't want a jackhammer that you can't really direct. So the same with the guitar. If it's comfortable while you're holding it, you will be more comfortable playing it, and the audience will get a lot more out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, well, I don't know about wonderful, but it's what it is.
It is wonderful. It is badass.
Yeah, and then up above us, you can see some vintage Les Paul Juniors in various states of repair.
So do you take so Greg Platzer guitars, you take kind of like, you have a few favorite shapes that you do, and use that as your vanilla that you add things to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of,
what's the thought process?
Gibson guy.
Huh?
Well, if let's say John Q customer reaches out to me and he's seen, I mean, I'm kind of known for vintage Gibson stuff, for repair and restoration. And I did a guitar a few years ago. I used to own a store called BCR Music in Lemoyne, PA. BCRmusic.com. Go there, buy things. And I was commissioned to build a guitar. The Hamsters Motorcycle Builders Club, they're like the preeminent motorcycle builders, and they have a big charity thing at the big biker thing out in where is that thing out there in Oklahoma? Sturgis.
All right.
And they commissioned me to build a guitar to be raffled off.
All right.
And so I built this guitar, which was based on a Les Paul Jr. And I just started my site, gregplatzerguitars.com, and at some point I'll be uploading the build of that. But I took the idea of a Les Paul Jr. and then modified it. And as a result, I've had so many people reach out to me that want me to build a guitar similar to that. So what I'll do is I'll take the basic flavor of a Les Paul Jr., but I'll twist it and customize it so that it's the customer's design and it's not a Gibson. I'm not interested in making copies of anything.
Yeah.
But the Les Paul Jr. design, either like the one I just showed you for myself, that's a double cutaway, so that would be 58 to 60. The ones up there are single cuts, so they're 54 to 57. They're very good guitars. From the outset, they were very good guitars, and then with a few tweaks, they can be really, really, really terrific guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I do. But I mean, if somebody came to me and they wanted a bolt neck shaped like a fire hydrant with LEDs on it, I might do it if it interests me.
Yeah, steampunk.
Isn't that like 15 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. Steampunk guitar. So So what are you listening to? So, you ever go to Greg's? You ever go to Greg's
You know what?
little back cave here? He always has really cool music, like
Uh,
and it's always different. It's never the same thing.
yeah, Dylan, my apprentice, is here. What were we listening to yesterday? We had man, we had all kinds of crap going on yesterday. Um, I can't remember. It was just we listened to a lot of Kansas yesterday.
Oh, we did.
Early Kansas, really
Okay.
cool stuff. Like the live record from 1978 is fantastic.
Okay.
It's brilliant musicianship, great songs.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, but I don't really care. I like it. Up until you called me, I had a Finnish band called Santa Cruz on.
All right.
Santa Cruz, there's this guy named Archie, and he's totally into the 80s LA rock and roll pre-hair metal. Like the hair stuff, the songs went away and it became all visuals. But
Yeah.
in the mid 80s, there was some really good stuff, and this guy knows how to deliver it. So Santa Cruz is the name of the band, and I was listening to that earlier. We listened to a lot of Steve Marriott here with Humble Pie, Small Faces.
Love that.
Yeah, we had Humble Pie live on yesterday, which is a mind-blowing record.
Yeah.
1973.
Embarrassing to say that I discovered them probably within the last 15 years. That is something that, like when I was a kid, I never knew of them.
That's okay. There's so many things to listen to.
Yeah.
The fact is, instead of being embarrassed, you should be happy that 15 years ago you discovered Humble Pie.
Exactly.
Half full.
Right.
Full.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You just did something that I think, let's talk about this for a second.
Right.
Taste. All right. You got up this morning and you put on the clothing that you put on. I put on the clothing I put on. Dylan put on the clothing he put on. And, the guy driving by right now, he put the clothing on. And everybody wants to present themselves in a certain manner. And guitars are no different.
Mm-hmm.
We all have friends that have guitars that they think are so cool looking, but we know they're crap. But they're so proud of them because they look cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have friends that have guitars that we think are really stupid, but they really work for those guys.
Yes.
So I don't think you should ever apologize for your taste.
Yeah.
I think everybody is who they are. Everybody likes what they like. And like
there are no guilty pleasures.
Well, yeah.
There are no guilty pleasures. So something brings you joy. Why should you find guilt? You're not hurting anybody.
Right. I mean, I toured with the New York Dolls.
Yes.
I am a huge fan of bands like Cheap Trick and Aerosmith and whatever, but I also really like Billie Eilish.
Okay.
Now, does that make me less of a biker? No. Some of the guys I ride with would absolutely be losing their crap right now.
Okay.
Because they heard me say Billie Eilish, but I think she's a very talented songwriter. And
all right.
So, and you never know what we're going to be listening to here. I also am a huge ABBA fan.
Okay.
And I'm proud of that because ABBA was that was a brilliant band.
Uh-huh.
Harmonies are fantastic. You can remember the melodies. Would I listen to ABBA over Queen or the Beatles? No, but
you don't have to make that decision.
No, I don't have to. I can listen to whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about being in my shop in my basement is I don't have to worry about what other people think of the music. Mm-hmm. When I had BCR Music, the various members of the staff could not agree on what was good music. And in general, I was the odd man out. And if I wanted to listen to Rat out of the Cellar, the other guys would all roll their eyes. And if somebody put on Smash Mouth, I might not really have a great time, but I would appreciate it. But mm-hmm. I don't think I would put Smash Mouth on, or and I got a little tired of Muse. But the cool thing about this is if you do visit the shop, you're going to find something engaging going on in the background. And mm-hmm. The beautiful thing about music and why we're talking and why we're all involved in this and why you the people out there are graciously watching me go on and on and on and extrapolate, is music makes bad lives better.
It does.
And I can
It's
tell
how
you
you. It's like what Wynton Marsalis said something about. It's not a necessity,
that, right.
but it's how you live your life. Music is about how you live your life. It's not like food. It's not like, you know what I mean? It gives the color to your life and how you live your life, and what
Yeah,
makes it worthwhile.
you have to eat
Yeah.
something. You need sustenance.
Yeah.
But music is something you choose to have in your life, just like art.
Yes.
Uh, I have a
Absolutely. Same thing.
I have a friend who has this very boring square house. It's a mid-century house. It's about as boring as possible, and his floors are black epoxy, and the walls are a very light gray. And if you just walked into the house, and all furniture is either black or gray, and if you just walked into his house and looked around, you'd think you were on black and white TV.
Hmm.
Um, and all the designs are mid-century. It really looks like you stepped into 1955.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the artwork on the walls is some of the most vibrant splashes of color, and there's no theme to it. So you'll have an impressionist painting, and then you'll have like something by Salvador Dali or whatever. And
Right.
it's just, the only word I can think of is this celebration of color when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
walk into his house. And I love that. And it's like, it's the visual version of walking in somewhere and there's some great music playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ironically enough, he's deaf. He
Really?
has no music.
All right.
So I go into his place and I whistle because I need to have some sort of music going on in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
To him, that's his music.
Yeah.
Since he can't hear, he can feel music.
Uh-huh.
We've gone to shows together and stuff like that, and he can feel it. But to him, the celebration is the colors. And I have another friend who lost his vision at 11 or 12,
Hmm.
sledding accident,
All right.
and got struck in the head by somebody on a sled. And so he knows what things look like. Now he just sees these swirls of colors, but his hearing is so incredibly intricate that um, when I talk to him on the phone, he can tell what mood I'm in just by the way I'm speaking to him and
It's
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
like when I was a kid, you would turn out the lights, your ears worked a whole lot better. I remember
Yeah.
hearing the stuff out, like my windows were open and I could hear what's going on out in the crickets and all that kind of stuff a whole lot better once the blinders are on.
Well, yeah, you're removing stimulus.
Yeah.
When I record in the studio, in general, I like, if I'm being creative, I like to turn all the lights out and just have a candle burning, and then I'll stare at that candle while I'm playing. And it's easier to hear the click track. And if there's people in the studio, like if there's people in the control room, I'll face away from the control room and just focus on that point of light. And to me, that unlocks what I'm trying to do. Whereas if there's stuff going on, I'm ADD.
Same
Um,
here.
so yeah, it's
I
like,
understand totally.
how many kids with ADD does it take to change a light bulb? Want to ride bikes? So,
And no, no,
so
I understand totally because
yeah, yeah.
the
So,
vibe of the like, yeah.
well,
I've been
blinders
in
can be
recording
good.
situations. I've been in recording situations that people felt that it was a community thing, and everybody was hanging out. It's like, no, leave.
No, if I'm being creative, I want to be creative in isolation.
Yeah.
Um, but there are times, there used to be a studio down the street, after Seven Studios,
Hmm.
um, and
Bob.
yeah, Bob, and I did a lot of recording in there for him. And there were times when we would get a bunch of people in there, like Hailstorm was in there, and we were making a racket, doing something, um, and various artists would come in, and I would play on the things. And sometimes you want a bunch of people around because you want that atmosphere,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want that shared energy. So it really depends on what you're trying to
Shout
do.
vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Skid Row crowd vocals.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, back to the bench here. So yeah, we find that the music that's playing in the background, some of the things that we'll do here at the bench. This is a file.
Yeah.
It's a four surface file, rounded on this side, flat on this side. And some of the stuff that we'll do, in fact, what did the guitar repairman do yesterday? Sand. That's one thing you can say about every guitar repairman. There was some sandpaper involved or some filing or something. So a lot of what we'll do is very menial. And that's where the music really comes in handy, because when you're doing something that's repetitious, doesn't have a whole lot of joy in it, then by playing music in the background, you can kind of, part of your brain can kind of get involved in music. I have several friends that I ride motorcycles with that have stereos on their bikes, and I just can't imagine. For me, the joy of riding is being away from organized anything. Other than lines on the road, there's everything else is wild.
Well, and I'm not speaking from experience in this from the motorcycle standpoint, but I do understand ADD. Do I? What if I'm riding a motorcycle? Huh?
Motorcycles are great if you have ADD, because there's
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying the radio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the radio would send me off.
I have never been able to play the radio when I went to sleep. I always have to turn it off, because 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying there going, oh my God, I think he used a Telecaster through a twin reverb on that. And you can really, do you hear the flanging on the background vocals? You know, I can't disconnect from that.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm riding a motorcycle, I don't want to hear that. You know, I mean, Paul McCartney himself could call me up and say, "Oh, I want to play you a new tune," and I go, "Wait, you know, I'm riding, man.
Wait till I get to where I'm going."
Well, actually, I'd like to put that to the test. So if McCartney calls me, I'll let you know how that.
I was going to say whatever.
I have a good friend named Fred Tacone, has a company called Divided by 13 Amps, and Sir Paul plays through Divided by 13s when he tours, and Sir Paul's going out on tour. So I have been told
I have tickets.
If I want to go, Fred will make it possible for me to get full access. So I'm looking forward to finally meeting Paul McCartney.
That is wonderful.
Hopefully we'll have one of these where I'll be telling you about
forget about your friends.
Oh, I've already. What was your name?
Yeah, right. Rod who?
Rod.
Ron?
AHD.
Yeah.
I don't know a Rod.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's talk about famous people. Famous people are just like you and me. They all put their pants on one leg at a time. And my experience, I have a lot of famous clients, and my experience with them is, I'll tell you what, everybody out there, if you ever meet somebody famous, don't tell them anything about what they do for a living.
Mm-hmm. Treat them like a human.
Yeah. And if you have to talk about their impact on your life, do it in 2 sentences. And then move on. And if you do have something in common, like if you run into Kenny Wayne Shepherd, talk about muscle cars.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic conversation with Robin Zander of Cheap Trick one time. They were playing at the TLA, the Theater of Living Arts in Philly. Yeah. And at the time, my then wife, now ex-wife, and I were building a house. And Robin was redoing his house in either Florida or Nashville. I can't remember where it was. We had a terrific conversation about countertops and cabinets. And it was almost surreal, because we had both done our research on the products available, and we were talking the pros and cons of countertop materials and stuff. And you know, all the Road Dogs and other band members like Nielsen walked in and listened to us. He goes, "You guys are boring," and he left the room. And I'm like, "Okay, fine." You know, if you want to make a famous person really uncomfortable, talk about them or talk about you. It's the worst thing you can do. Yeah. It's the worst thing you can do. And
don't be a weirdo in that way.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, when you meet somebody famous, it's exciting because, you know, there's somebody that you've seen on the internet, or in my case, I've met all these people that I had posters of them on my wall when I was a kid, and to see them in 3D is tremendous. First famous person I met, Peter Frampton. I was at a guitar.
What year are we talking?
85 and 85. Yeah, 80, around there. And I saw him and I walked up to him and I said, Peter Frampton, I am such a fan of your guitar playing. I loved what you did in Frampton's Camel and the Humble Pie stuff. And he goes, what would you like me to sign? And I said, nothing. Just wanted to tell you I'm a big fan. He goes, oh, thank you. And he turned away and walked away. And I stood there, straight legged, looking at my toes, going, what did I just do? I was embarrassed because I just met one of my favorite guitar players, and I came across as a complete bag of tools. And this was at a NAMM show in Chicago. And then I heard another British voice, and I turned, and there's Steve Howe walking along with a guy. So I just fell in step with him. And I said, hey, Steve, I said, that ES 175 you play, is that one with the skinny neck at the bottom and the fat neck at the top, or is it fat all the way up? And he goes, oh, it's fat all the way up. And I said, I like those better than the ones that are skinny down the bottom, because, you know, I agree with you. And we just started, and we were two guitar guys talking.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It's amazing how they just want to be normal human beings. They don't.
Yeah, he didn't go, you know, and Frampton was very gracious, but he did not want to become involved in my life and did not want me to become involved in his life. And Hal, on the other hand, and I'm not a big Yes fan or anything like that, but you got to admit, the guy's a tremendous guitar player.
Absolutely.
And he just wanted to talk about guitars to another guitar fan.
Yeah.
And that was a very valuable lesson. And so since then, I've actually worked with, I'm not going to name drop here, but I've worked with some very, very prominent artists, and I almost always break off the conversation. I try to, so that, you know, they don't feel like it's just going on and on. You got to read the room. If somebody's not looking at you while you're talking to them, they don't want to talk to you. Yeah. If they're like, oh yeah, okay, well, you know, oh, that's great. Then, you know, they're going, oh,
it's got to be exhausting.
Yeah. And
coming from their standpoint.
Yeah, when you're famous, your life isn't yours anymore.
Yeah, and it's got to be exhausting.
And so, bottom line, people out there, if you meet somebody famous, you can tell them what sort of impact they've had on your life, but do it in 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Don't spend more than 30 seconds on what they do. And then let them go, because they're in public. And I just read this great book, Eruption in the Valley, I think it was called. It was by this guy that filmed Van Halen, filmed all the rehearsals when Wolfie joined the band. For 2 years, he filmed everything they did. And he said that Eddie couldn't even go down to the corner store because at 3 o'clock in the morning, he'd walk into the corner store, and within 20 seconds, it was mobbed. And you got to think about that. Some of these famous people, especially if they're like Steven Tyler, looks like Steven Tyler no matter where he goes. And you know, if somebody sees Steven Tyler or Rick Nielsen or something, then boom, it's.
Well, yeah, and you look at Eddie Van Halen later in life, and it's like he's almost trying not to look like Eddie.
Absolutely, and that was, you know, the short hair and stuff, and
you know, he looked like your uncle.
Yeah, and you know, it's just, I don't even know how we got on this subject, but people out there, if you meet somebody famous, no more than 30 seconds.
Normal people, and it's like it is exhausting. Those kinds of conversations that they hear probably 50 times a day, and it's like, let's talk about real stuff.
Yeah. Subject change.
Yes.
So since we're going to do these on a hopefully long-term basis, anybody that's out there that's actually watching this, if anybody has any questions,
absolutely,
where would they send their question?
They would send their questions in this video. They're going to be messages. You can put a message in that.
Cool.
Okay, you can type in the messages, questions you have, or things that you would like to hear about.
Yeah, if there's like, all right, I wonder how Greg does this, or I wonder what Greg thinks about this, or whatever. If there's any way that I can make your life a little more interesting, put that question in the comments, like Rod said, and what we'll do is we'll try to touch on those. And I don't want to just be some friggin' blowhard
Yeah.
pontificating,
No. You're not a blowhard.
but I am pontificating. So,
Yes. Yes. I can't even say the word. Pontificate away.
What's funny is I'm an alcoholic, which isn't funny, but I go to meetings, and in the meetings,
you've been recovering for many years. It should be stated.
37.
Yes.
And two of the we at the beginning of a meeting, you read the rules of the meeting, and one of the things that you have to say is anonymity and confidentiality are paramount to this meeting. What happens here stays here.
Mm-hmm.
You know how hard it is to say anonymity and confidentiality? Think about that. At the beginning of every meeting, somebody blows one of those words. Yeah. And you can tell the people that have been going to meetings for a while, because
I think you've been doing it for 37 years.
Yeah. Let's see if he gets through this one.
Yeah.
So pontification went there.
All right.
Yeah, and anybody out there that might be struggling, reach out to me.
Mm-hmm. And share this among all your friends, and ask questions, and throw questions down. And
yeah, there's no shame in asking questions. There's no shame for help.
Yes. So we'll make fun of each other, but we won't make fun of you.
Let's all make fun of Rod. It's so easy.
It's my day.
It's so easy. I mean, Rod can't help how beautiful he is, folks.
That's right. Ladies.
Leave some ladies for the rest of us, Rod.
Right, yes.
Oh, except for me. I have a fabulous girlfriend.
Yeah, so do I, to be honest with you. So ladies.
So you're just out there tempting them just for fun. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I'm taken.
I'm taken with you, Rod. I'm flirting right now.
All right, Greg.
Ask me a question. What do you want me to say?
Let's see. What questions do we have?
Hey, I'll tell you something that's important.
All right.
This got touched on my social media. Tools.
All right.
Guitars are just tools. Like somebody recently said to me, why are most of the guitars you play on stage beat up? Many of the guitars I play on stage are actually older, and they're beat up because they're so good that people used them for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And then I have some new ones that I have beat up so that I don't feel bad about beating them up. And somebody said, well, recently I put up a video. There's a local artist by the name of Colt Wilbur, a country guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a Gibson Flying V, and he wanted to antique it a bit. So I told him how to crack the finish up, and then he brought it by, and we rubbed some used Harley oil into it, and
mm-hmm.
Just neat little things like that. And he said, well, I need to put some dings on there. And so we did a quick little video where I just grabbed a bunch of drill bits and just dropped them on the guitar. Mm-hmm. And when the wear is random, it's convincing. When the wear is regular, it looks like somebody tried to do it.
It looks like your tool.
Yeah. And
see what I did there?
Boy, you are
clever.
Yeah. I don't even know if I can talk after that. That was so good.
So
let's just enjoy that.
Colt, I've heard of his he's getting a collection.
Who, Colt? He's got some guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and Ronnie Rhodes, terrific guitar players. Go see him because those guys can play.
Ronnie's always been ridiculous in everything.
He's probably one of the most obscenely good guitar players in the area. And,
right.
Actually in the world. I mean, that guy's good.
Jazz, country, rock, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yours at all? Yeah.
With me, jazz, country, rock, I sound bad in every one of those genres.
That is not true. That is horseshit.
We're not going there. But if you want to come see me play, we can talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the venue for that. But anyway, tools. My young and attractive apprentice Dylan is over there. He's part of the repair team at BCR Music.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I trained him, and he has taken a lot of my stuff and taken it even farther. And God bless him for that. And when Dylan was putting together his tool herd, we made a bunch of things for him. Like the thing about luthery is nowadays there's a place like there's Stu Mac and various Luther's Mercantile and Philadelphia Luther's Tools where they'll sell you like this is a fret file.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where's the there it is. You can see how that's radiused right there, and that goes when we put the frets in, and then we level them. They might be flat on top, and so this matches the top of the fret.
All right.
And gives you that shape again. All right. When I was a kid, nobody made those.
I was gonna say, it's how many tools in your toolboxes are really old?
Most of mine are old. And so when we were doing stuff up for Dylan, we made a bunch of little things. I'm looking around at, like, here's I took a triangle file and I basically buzzed the points off. And so it essentially, let me grab that neck again. You'll get, let me move this out of the way. When you put the fret in, then you'll use a mill file. This is a mill file.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll even up the sides of the frets. All right. Then what happens is you get these little sharp edges on either side of the fret. So what this does, I don't know if that's going to focus or not, but what this does is you use that, and the smooth part rides on the
right.
fingerboard, and it will just take that little corner off. And then when you go like this, ooh, it's smooth. And I was taught this by an old guy that had worked at Martin Guitar when I was a kid. And I was very fortunate that I met this guy. He was a neighbor's father, and he had repaired guitars at Martin in Nazareth, PA for many years. And then he had a shop in his basement, and I would go over after school, and he would allow me to sand.
Wow. Well, that
it's kind of like Huck
that's
Finn.
mentorship.
That's
how you learn to do it.
I'll let you guys paint that fence. If you're cool enough, you can paint the fence. And he saw an eager kid, and he's like, well, I'll tell you what, if you sand this, then I'll show you how to do that.
Yeah.
And
to be honest with you, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do with Dylan. Yeah. Dylan, come here and say hi. This is Dylan.
Hey, we know Dylan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great, dude. Working on guitars, man.
Yeah.
Good. That's the life.
All right. Is there something you need to say?
Or I need to fix a brace. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got to do that brace. All right, we'll do that after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
You're wondering if there's a brace missing in your guitar. It sounds like that.
That sounds like a hotel bed. You guys can't hear that, but he's making a squeaky noise with a guitar that he's
a hotel bed or a hotel bet.
I want you to finish that bass up and get it out of here while we're doing this. And Alex, Flattery, your bass is being done as this is going on, and we hope to never see it again. Alex gave Dylan this beat to crap old bass, and Dylan is making it fantastic. And I don't think Alex is really going to appreciate how good a bass it is now. I'll tell you one thing I would love to invent. When time machines happen, I want a time machine that's 58 inches long, 12 inches high, and 20 inches deep. So that, like Rod, you can bring your guitar in and drop it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do all the work that I do.
Yeah.
And then you'll come and pick it up and you go, oh, wow, this is really good. And then you pay me and you leave. What I'd like to do is, hey, Rod, let's put it in the time machine for a minute. And let's put it to the day before you brought it in and have you play it. And then you go, oh, my God,
Right.
And so
You
I
don't
wanted
have to
kind of-
tell me. Recently, our little recent history is I brought my Paul Reed Smith to you
Yes.
after having it since like 1996, and it is the first upgraded I ever had of the guitar, and it's like it's a different instrument. So
I'm glad you like it.
I'm going to sing your praises in that way.
Do I have to do
What you did, that's artistry. That is artistry.
Well, thank you so much. It's nice of you to say that.
The people,
I don't care what you're observing, whether it's somebody laying a brick wall or building a house or baking a cake or whatever. If somebody's good at it,
they take pride in their work. It's like a human
Yeah.
being, loving on my guitar, making it live up to what it's capable of.
yeah,
This
and
is
like,
completely guitar nerd talk, but it's like it's also that can't die.
well, let's be honest. Anybody that's not a complete and utter guitar nerd
He's
is
not
no
gonna watch
longer
us.
watching by now. You know,
But it's like
they're
it's
on
got
TikTok
strat
right now.
sounds, it's got stays in tune, whammies working better. Everything was working better. It's a new instrument, and we could
Well-
probably do more stuff to it too. It's like but it
Well, we did the basics. I mean,
yeah.
here's the deal. Every machine has its capabilities, and every capability has a limit. And guitars have a tendency, guitar owners don't tend to be brilliant engineers.
I'm not.
And so
I am not. Hear it
Yeah,
here.
one simple change to a machine you can turn an airplane into a paperweight by turning one screw. And more often than not, when guitars have been brought to me, it's just a matter of lining these screws up, rerouting this wire, adjusting the truss rod and raising the bridge a little on the bass side, little things like that.
That's not it's not a skill that everybody has.
No,
I do think that. It's like
no.
I think some people are more courageous than others.
Yeah. Well,
Courageous doesn't mean you should be touching it.
it's kind of like Spicoli and Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right.
I can fix it. My dad's a TV repairman. He's got
Right.
a righteous set of tools.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of guys out there that are buying all the tools from the luthier supply things and stuff, and then calling themselves guitar repairmen. And 9 times out of 10, a guy will start up in town, and people that have been coming to me for years, I won't see him for a year, and then I start seeing him again. And I was a hairstylist for 10 years before I bought BCR Music. And the interesting thing is, I would have clients for a while, and then I'd lose them for, a haircut cycle or two, and then they'd come back and
try somebody else. And
yeah, because somebody new would open up, or this one shop opened up, and at the time, this would have been like 1988, 89. Women's shampoo, cut, blow dry was $12. And this shop opened up in town. I was in Gettysburg, and they advertised $5 haircuts, full service haircut, $5. So I just started telling people that I repaired $5 haircuts. And in no time at all, that place closed, and we just went. I was working for a salon called Sundance Kid at the time, and we just went about our business. But when a new business will come in, there's always a little bit of a drop. All the local restaurants will see a drop when a new restaurant comes.
yeah.
But the
You don't want to be
restaurants,
the cheapest guy in town. That's not how you want to make your mark.
no. If you're known for being cheap, you're not known for being quality.
Yeah.
I have a sign around here somewhere. Yeah, skilled labor isn't cheap. Cheap labor isn't skilled.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you can see it in the background, doesn't matter. But my grandfather told me when I was a kid, good, cheap, fast. Pick any two at any time. And I've thought about that with every pursuit I've been involved in. If you're good and cheap, you're not going to be fast. If you're good and fast, you won't be cheap. And so no matter what you're doing out there, if you find somebody that's good at a job, you celebrate them and you tell your friends and you make sure that that person stays in that arena, that with small business, you find a good plumber, man, you celebrate that plumber. You tell everybody about that plumber.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can spread this out to lots of stuff, like musicians as well.
Yeah, well, just about any topic we can talk about.
Don't be nickel and diming your local musician.
I just had a guy.
Pay your local musicians. This needs to be said. This needs to be said.
Live bands. Go see live
band leaders. Pay your musicians.
Yeah, yeah.
But why am I having to say this? Because it's like what you're doing is you're making them move to Nashville.
Yeah,
you're making them move to wherever.
Yeah,
you're casting them out.
Go see live bands, because venues that have live bands, the only reason they have live bands is because it's like a different dish or brand of beer to serve. It's an enticement to get you in. Mm-hmm. The only musical instrument that really matters in a live music venue is the cash register. If that thing's ringing, it's good business, and then you have a chance of seeing that again. I had a band called Grumpy Old Men for the last 25 years, and we just hung it up. And I have people that are coming up to me and saying, "Hey, when are you playing again?" We're not. Oh, I was going to come see you. And people that would tell me 10, 15 years, "Oh, I'll come see you next time. I'll come see you next time." Well, now we're not playing. You can't come see us. And go see live music, support live music venues, because when I moved to this area in 1994, there was live music every night of the week. Mm-hmm. And my friends and I used to get together and we would argue over which bands we were going to go see. You could see 10 different bands on a Friday or Saturday night in this area.
Between Harrisburg, Camp Hill, Glifties.
Yeah. Well, if we could, you and I could we would definitely make this a very local podcast or video cast or whatever by describing the local venues that are gone, the ones that we all enjoyed playing at.
Yeah.
But this is a global thing. I mean, support live music. Anybody that's got one of these in their hand deserves the opportunity to have it in their hand.
Let it grow.
And the secondary and tertiary businesses like the repairmen and the builders and stuff. Mm-hmm. If there's no live music, we don't have anything to do. Yeah. Collectors don't wear their stuff out. Mm-hmm. I definitely like if somebody comes in and they got a gig. Last night I worked on a guitar for a fella that's playing Saturday night. Sarah's sitting in with this band called Chapel Hill, and their guitar player couldn't make it, so they asked Sarah to fill in. And the lead singer, Roy Lee, has this Taylor guitar, and it's got Taylorisms. Don't buy Taylor guitars, folks. And so I had to undo a bunch of Taylorisms while they were rehearsing last night. Now, I don't do guitars. Yeah, there goes Taylor as a endorser. But I don't do guitars while you wait. I can't.
Okay.
I absolutely can't. But in this case, he's playing Saturday night. He needed it done. He was here for a few hours. So, I put everything else aside and I took care of him so that on Saturday night, he's going to play well. The audience is going to have a great time and people are going to really enjoy seeing my girlfriend play with him. So there's a lot of win involved there. Mm-hmm. But he's smart enough to know that that's never going to happen in his lifetime again. I'm not going to do another guitar for him while he waits. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. But I try to, and I've always tried, all the years I owned BCR Music, I always tried to support those that were making a living or trying to make a living with musical instruments. I tried to always give them a priority so that there was one less thing they had to worry about, because there's so many things you have to worry about when you're a musician.
Music's the least of it.
Hey, let's talk about basic things to do to your guitar and basic things to not do to your guitar.
All right.
How much time do we have, by the way?
We got 10 minutes.
You know how weird it is that we do that?
Tell me one basic thing we can do to our guitar to make it better.
No, but just the pitch shift that we just witnessed with you. You just went up and Why do we
What was that?
Where did that come from? Who said it? You know what would be cool?
One
Okay.
basic thing, top basic thing for today. We don't want to give out all our stuff.
Keep it tuned.
Yes, keep it tuned.
Buy a good tuner. Keep your guitar tuned. When I was a kid, we used pitch pipes, and I have friends that are absolutely pitch deaf. And you'd go, and they go, and they'd be ready to play. It's like, no. So now you guys have these cool little things that tell you, it tells you what the pitch is. Use them.
Yes, and use them more. Why tuned it last Monday? No.
I taught when I was younger. I had a grandfather bring his 10-year-old grandson in for a lesson, and we would spend a couple minutes tuning the guitars. And back then it was before tuners, and I was always a fan of the pitchfork, or the tuning fork pitchfork. All right, and so we would tune it to the tuning fork, and grandfather said to me, "Why don't they just tune them from the factory?" But
that's a Joe Pass joke. They tuned it at the factory. I don't know what's wrong.
Joe Pass said that. That's cool. But keep your guitar tuned, because three things. There's somebody else bothering us. Three things. Number one, if you sit down and play with somebody else and you're both in tune, it's going to be good. Otherwise, somebody has to tune. Number two, people have a tendency, if they're in doubt, they'll tune up. I've had guitars brought to me that were tuned to G across. That's a grenade. That's not a musical instrument. And number three, people will say, "Oh, I'm storing a guitar, so I slacked the strings." Why? If you have a vintage car, you'll put it up on blocks so you don't flat spot the tires or stress the springs. But a guitar is designed to be tuned to A440. Leave it there.
Yeah.
So
But the other thing, and as we both know, I'm a teacher. And on the end of that, if you're constantly playing a guitar that is out of tune, your ear adjusts to that, and your ear can't
screw your intervals up.
Yeah, it screws your ear training up. It screws your hearing up. It screws, and it is
These are like $20.
Now, okay, this is going to be a boomer discussion or a boomer statement.
Go right ahead.
Back in my day, when I first started playing Andy's tuners that were like the Korg tuner that was the size of a brick in 1978 dollars.
Banana tuner. Remember the banana tuner?
Yeah. Well, that was 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a 1978. This thing was like $110. Okay. 1978 money, which I don't even know what that translates to now. But anyway, you can get the snark tuners or whatever it is. What, $15 online?
15, $20.
Yeah.
I like the Korgs, KORG. I like them. They seem to be the most versatile and most rugged. Snarks, you drop them once, they're no good.
Yeah, that is true.
And
I've probably been through 20 snarks. I can't,
Well, if you've bought more than 3, you're an idiot. Okay, let's just be honest. You know,
fair enough.
But the best headstock tuner, in my opinion, is the TC tuner.
All right.
Because it actually has a strobe function. I use a Peterson 490 strobe tuner on everything that I work on here. And I had to send mine back to get calibrated and have a part replaced, because it's literally on all day long every day. And I used the TC headstock tuner in the interim, and it worked every bit as well because it's so damn accurate. So
is there
Peterson's making, according to Dylan, Peterson's now making a headstock tuner too. So
that's my next question.
Yeah,
that was my next question. My next question.
Get a good tuner. Get a good tuner. Use it.
Yeah.
And since we covered that one, the other thing is keep it clean. I can't tell you how many times people come in and they're like, "I think I need to change my strings." They're 8 years old and there's potatoes growing at the third fret. Yeah. Don't play guitar after.
You'll get lockjaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wash your hands before you pick up your guitar. Your strings will last.
If
Okay.
and if you're loosening your strings and your strings break,
Yeah.
they probably
Yeah.
needed replaced a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. We get hazard pay when guitars
Right.
are back. There's an additional 15% hazard cost for a guitar that's that dangerous
Yeah.
because
You get your as a guitar repairman, do you need your tetanus shot?
well, if you don't bleed on it, you didn't mean it.
Yeah.
That's an old Harley thing, you know.
Right.
If you don't bark your knuckles turning a wrench somewhere, you know, then you shouldn't have been
You're
working.
not. Yeah.
And
Give your tools back.
yeah, I can't tell you how many times I literally. It works out well that the headstock is on this side because when I'm taking strings off, I'm using my very, very calloused fingertips on purpose. Because if I tried to do it with my right hand, there'd be things sticking in my fingers like crazy.
Mhm.
But I bleed on a regular basis, and we have alcohol here and swabs. And if you do,
There is no greater pain though in that little.
yeah. And here's something I was told by a guy that was an Army medic a million years ago because he actually watched me get the tip of my finger at the bench at the shop one time, and I went to clean it immediately. He said, "No, bleed it for a little bit." He said, "Squeeze it and bleed it because anything that was on that piece of string got pushed inside there when it broke the surface.
Mhm.
So if you squeeze it and get some blood out, it might flush out any of the any toxins or this and that might got to put in." So he said, "Just bleed it for, you know, a little bit and then clean it up." And it'll.
Guitar nerd first aid.
I mean, you don't come here for the normal stuff, do
That's
you?
right. If you want normal, go somewhere else.
Yeah. Abby. We have the Abby stuff.
Right.
The abnormal stuff.
Yes. All right,
Yeah,
Greg. All right. This is our maiden voyage.
Well,
Thank you for
I'm
this.
Greg Platzer and I endorse this.
You're your
program.
Uncle Greg Platzer. Let's be real.
Uncle Greg Platzer. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been Uncle Greg my whole life.
Yeah, since you're like 19 years old or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid cutting hair, people would be telling me their problems and this and that. And I might have been 21, and this woman in her 40s or 50s, couldn't tell back then, said to me, "You know, you're like my favorite uncle." And the rest of the staff
That stuck.
picked up on that, and they're like, "Oh, hey, it's Uncle Greg." And
The
literally,
best hairdressers and guitar teachers are therapists.
it never went away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was a barber stylist. Hey, let's talk about that for a second. Hairdressers.
Yeah.
Hairdressers, they just do hair, and what they do is they'll go to beauty school, and in Pennsylvania, it's 9 months long, and it's split up, and you do hair, nails, and skin. So basically, only 3 months of what you're doing is hair, and what they do is they just learn basic cuts, and then it's all about hairstyling. A barber, it's 9 months of just hair, and we barbers have to do boards. Just like to become a doctor, you have to do a written examination and then a practical where you have a model and you have to shave them and do a clipper cut and do a cut and style and everything like that. So when you're looking for a hairstylist, keep in mind that some people are better educated at the beginning than others. That being said, I had guitar students back in the day that I would give them 10 lessons and teach them basics, and they would go off and write all kinds of fantastic music. And they might not have been technically proficient, but they were really good at the job.
Yeah.
And I still notice haircuts, and I've seen haircuts, and I'll say, "Wow, that haircut's great. Who did your haircut?" And, "Oh, my sister just cut it on the back porch. She went to beauty school, but she didn't really stick with it." And it's a great haircut. So you never know. But in general, notice if you're going to somebody new, notice where they got trained.
Mhm.
Just kind of, after a few people, you might see patterns.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to disparage
Little hair pun there.
you don't have to worry about that, Rod.
I'm my own barber.
And so am I.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Yes. So this is Maiden Voyage, episode 1, At the Bench with Uncle Greg Platzer. We love guitar nerds. Thank you so much.
God bless everybody out there. See ya.
See ya.